Hey guys, Mike Green here from All Steel Off-Road. Today we're going to be going over our Can-Am X3 Seat Quick Disconnect. In your kit you're going to be getting 2 front seat pivot points, 2 rear pins, 2 seat belt relocation brackets, 2 bushings, 2 linch pins, and 2 quarter 20 bolts with nylock nuts. Also, you're going to get a set of instructions that will walk you through. Today we're just going to be going over the instructions, a little how-to, some tips and tricks to make the process a little easier because it is some cutting and drilling. So first off, you're going to remove your front seats, remove the tubes out of the seats, and I will show you exactly how that's done. Most guys will get this real quick. I mean, they literally just pull out of the rollers there. On this side, you're going to have to hit the latch for the seat adjustment, and it'll pull out. And then that's what the pivot's going to look like when it's all bolted in. And you'll have to bolt that in after you put it through the seat. So here's what it looks like once the bracket is all in and your seat belt is bolted on. This is all just sitting loose right now for our video. And then that's the cut stud and your bushing. So first off in the instructions, let's bolt our bushings into place using our factory bolts. Leave them loose, do not tighten them down. We're going to use that adjustment up. Then we're going to move over to cutting 2 inches off of our rear studs. So as I just showed you in the video, you're just going to cut off grinder, sawzall, hacksaw. You're going to cut off a couple inches off those studs. And then you can put on your brackets. These go like, you don't have to bolt anything onto them yet. They're just going to be sitting over those studs temporarily. And then we're going to put our rear seat pins right over top. So let me show you how that's done. Quick and easy. Mine are just a little bit shorter than yours will be for prototyping use. See if I can thread this on with one hand. There we go. So we'll thread that on. This is just for mounting your seat tubes, just like so. And then this is 7/8. So crescent wrench works fine, or 7/8 wrench to tighten those down. They don't have to be really tight, but a little bit helps out. So with your rear seat pins set, now we can start on the front. So you already have these bushings in. We're going to start this pivot point mount spot. You're going to cut 1 3/4 inches off the front of these tubes. So I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So here's my cutoff. About 3/4 inch behind those slotted holes from the factory. That is a factory tube. You're going to want to clean the burrs and junk out of that tube once you cut it. Again, using a hacksaw, sawzall, cutoff grinder, bandsaw, anything works pretty well. Then we're going to slide our front pivot point into the tube, and we're going to mount it back into your Can-Am using that rear pin just for mounting purposes. You can take a piece of soapstone and mark your rail. If you do end up cutting it a little too far, it should hit perfectly on this stop here though. But accidents happen. So after you mark that, you can pull this pivot out. And then use your mark to align your top hole. Make sure the rear is sitting on a flat surface. That way it's easier to align that vertically with the front. After you drill your hole, mark and drill your hole, I suggest drilling just the top of it first. And then you can reset it in here, make sure everything lines up correctly, and then drill through your bottom. That way everything's perfectly vertical and everything is sure to line up great. After you do that, we can take that back out, reinstall your seat tubes like so. You'll push those through, put your pivot point back in, put your 1/4-20 bolt through. Make sure that the bolt goes through the nylock nut and hits the nylon locker. After that's done, we can reinstall the rear pins here, putting your seat belts on with the factory 7/16 bolt. Make sure you throw a little Loctite on there. Here's what the seat belt looks like on the relocation bracket. This one is slightly different. It's one of our prototypes. So that will give you some idea. They're a little bit beefier with the new models. So that gives you a little idea of how that's going to be. Make sure you put your seat belt through the seat before you put the bracket on. It will slide through. The bracket's made to slide through these holes if you do forget, but it is a good idea to put it on before, and that way you don't have to finagle it through those holes. And make sure you reconnect your sensor wire from this seat belt if you are using the stock seat belts. Now your bushings are still loose in the front. Your seat belt brackets are in. You're going to put these pins in. You're going to screw them down tight. Make sure this hole is parallel to the back of your machine. That's going to help you when you put the linch pins in. That plastic crushes just a little bit, so you have about 1/4 to 1/2 a turn once they're tight to play with it. But once they're in place, they really can't go anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to reinstall our seat, put it into place, make sure your seat belts all line up. We're going to align the front bushings, and that's pretty much it, guys. Once you align those front bushings, you can lock those down tight, set your linch pins. It's going to be a little rocking and finagling. You might have to mess with the seat adjustment to get everything lined up and into place, but it's pretty well that easy, guys. Don't get hung up on the drilling the hole and cutting off your tubes. It's really not that bad of an ordeal. Once you do the first one, everything else is going to go very much smoother. A normal kit comes with 4 of everything to do both front seats. This is just what one seat's going to look like. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can feel free to contact us at All Steel Off-Road through our Facebook page or our website, and we would be more than glad to help you or walk you through any part of the process. And I hope this helps, guys. Thank you, and ride safe.